Hi, good evening everyone. I wish you all well. Tonight is going to be an interesting night because we're going to answer some questions which I think would hopefully be able to address much of the uncertainties surrounding the future of Proxima X. What I've basically done is to have put in 5 different categories, and the last one, the 6th one, as the miscellaneous category. So there have been quite a number of questions, but I've basically combined them to 6 different categories. 7 different categories.
Okay, so anyway, let's get going with some of these questions. We have group 1, which is the mainnet question, set of questions. There were about 4 or 5 different questions on this, and one of the first questions asked was, based on current project progress, can you launch mainnet in Q3? Based on current progress, we are very confident that we'll launch our mainnet in Q3, which means it is good news for us because we believe we are on time, and the boys project or development side are actually working very hard and producing good results. So yes, very confident that this will all happen in Q3. And the next question asked is, what is being done on or will be done, if anything, to encourage devs to use the public chain once mainnet is released? What is being done today is to demonstrate that the mainnet is workable and is usable as an important tool for everyone to use, and that's most important. And how do we do that? What we do is that you need to ensure that the difference between our mainnet and someone else's mainnet is the utility of the mainnet, which means that we need to be able to develop applications sitting on top of the mainnet so that it can be utilized by the public at large. And what we really need to do then is to encourage people, entrepreneurs, people who are into development, to develop applications and software that they think appeals to the masses. And this is where I think at the end of the day will encourage people to develop on the mainnet and to be able to provide such services in the mainnet. The next question is, what happens after mainnet launch? So again, that question ties into the previous one, is what happens, how do we encourage people to use the mainnet? Now there are 2 types, as I said. One is the developers coming on board. The other one is the users coming on board. And we hope, just like any gaming or mobile games or desktop games, where all you need is one application that will attract the masses to come and use, and that's where it will snowball as a mainnet. For example, if you look at, I'm not a game person, but if you look at things like Angry Bird was a hit, and because it was a hit, millions and millions of users came on board. We expect one, and we hope one of this application, software application, be it a social media application or an application where the masses will use, will hit us here in the Proxima X platform, where millions of users will get to use it. And when millions of users will get to use it, the rest will be history. The next question asked was, after mainnet launch, if I want to use cloud storage, do I pay with XPX? Let us now define what the platform is about. The platform is about 2 things, right? One is the platform being an application development platform. The second thing is that when applications are developed on the platform, then this application, the services of which are sold as utility to the end user. So you have a 3-stage thing. The upstream being the storage, the midstream being the application service provider, and the third one is the user, the end user at large. So if you want to store files on the Proxima X platform, you must be able to make use of an application service that will allow you to store files, unless you are a programmer where you would want to use it for your personal usage. Then you can write a program to enable yourself to store files in the cloud storage, as asked by someone here, XPX fans, right, his name. So do I pay with XPX? Yes, you do pay with XPX. The bottom line is the application service provider can choose to collect the payment in any other currencies other than just XPX. But the application service provider must pay to the storage system that is provided by the mainnet in XPX. So the economy of the mainnet is XPX, but the end user can be made to pay in other currencies. We would obviously prefer it to be in XPX. So you have a two-stage thing. Now the next question is, how is the team fortifying the synergy with the NEM organization on top which XPX is built? And what 2.0 and 3.0 tiers, I'm reading verbatim, can we look forward to in the months that will lead to further adoption? Now, as I can understand from this question is how are we fortifying the synergy with the NEM organization? Well, in as far as the NEM organization is concerned, in itself, it has its own lives. And I say lives because NEM organization and NEM development, they're two separate organizations. One is to further promote on the use of NEM as a technology. Two is that the NEM developers are developing the technology behind the blockchain project that they're working on. So the synergy here is that we work on the technology side of things. So in as far as the technology side of things, what we could do is that we could exist together in the same ecosystem. We will be adopting some of the technologies, if not most of the technology, most of the things that are the tools, the features in there, but we will have to adapt much of what we have into it. So there will be aberrations. So forks that we may have to use or utilize for the benefit of the Proxima X mainnet. So in respect of tier 2 and tier 3, I presume the question asked was with regards to the layers. So we have the streaming layer, we have the storage layer, and we may have more layers, including super contracts, right? In the months to come, following the launch of our mainnet, which is the blockchain net to start off with, we will be rolling out the storage and the streaming together. So I hope that is the question that was asked, because I'm not quite sure exactly what the question was about, but this is my answer to that question. So the next question is a lot of partnerships, but what's the relationship to our XPX? What would be the benefits to token holders from these partnerships? I think I will leave this question answered in a later section, in the business section. So I'll move on to marketing first, the second group of the questions. And the next question is, what is the go-to market strategy? What is the forecasted average revenue per enterprise? And then the next question is, what marketing strategy do you adopt to get companies to use Proxima X? And then the last question with regards to marketing is, when is mass adoption of Proxima X products? What are Proxima X main competitors? How does Proxima X stand out from them? Okay, the question is basically what's my go-to-market strategy, right? So the go-to-market strategy, we follow a very simple principle, and that principle is about working with system integrators and tapping onto their network of end users. And these end users can be very varied. So the short and simple answer is that we would like to work with system integrators so that they, with their own network, will be able to promote those solutions that we have, or their solutions working on our platform. And the other question that I'd like to answer is, what are Proxima X's main competitors? So who are Proxima X's main competitors? Well, I think they are basically, the competitors are all just like us, going out there to basically look at the market and starting out new like us, right? And to me, the entire industry is at a very nascent stage, in the development stage. So I'm not too worried about the competition. What I'm more worried about today is the ability for us to go out there to convince end users to believe in blockchain technology overall. So it does not matter whether we are Proxima X or not. It's about how the market is looking at us, the blockchain technology providers, coming out with our solutions and be able to convince them to come on board. And that's where the challenge is today, rather than our competition. Because, as I said earlier, it's a very nascent industry. The whole blockchain is still new, and therefore the opportunities are plenty abound, and there's room for everyone to compete, or even to get a big share of the products and services that we all offer together, collectively. And so how does Proxima X stand out among all of them? So obviously, I would like to believe, we at Proxima X would like to believe that we are the best. And we, even if we are not the best, we would like to aspire to be the best. So let's go on to the next group of questions, which is business, right? The question is TON, Telegram Open Network. Telegram Open Network, as I understand, is basically a blockchain project that is being promoted by Telegram. As far as I know, one of the first things that they're emphasizing on is the use of the blockchain technology to make value transfers. I have no visibility on their proposal to put distributed storage, file storage into the solution as well. So I do not have much information on that, other than the fact that this platform, the TON, the Telegram Open Network platform, is basically offering value transfers. So I have no visibility beyond that. So I can't comment much in it. The next question is, there have been a few business partnerships. This again ties back to an earlier question that was being asked with regards to partnerships, right? As well as what's the value of XPX in regards of this. I think what I need to really explain today is that something that you need to understand before I can go on to answer those questions that you have asked, and so that you have a better appreciation of where we are coming from. Proxima X started off as a project, a open source distributed decentralized technology project based on blockchain technology. Proxima X as a public mainnet project exists with a coin that is meant to have meant to pay for the services that Proxima X as a mainnet project is providing. So now the question arises, how do we, which a lot of you have already asked, how do we make sure that the mainnet is something of use, of utility to token holders, right? And how do token holders benefit from it? First, we must understand, when we started off the project, XPX is a utility token. It is not an investment token. So we do not purport to say that XPX is one token where you invest in, but we are here to promote the use of the XPX for those services that are being offered in the mainnet. So this has to be clear to all of you, right? That in itself It's an economy within the mainnet. And what about those relationships that we're talking about? Now, in the absence of Proxima X being a private entity, establishing businesses with mainstream enterprises at large, someone else will do it. And when that someone else does it, they may not have allegiance to the mainnet. And if they don't have allegiance to the mainnet, they will not support the mainnet. They will make use of the technology of Proxima X to further promote the business for themselves. And if that happens, then there's no sustainability of the mainnet after all the money has been utilized, has been used to promote or to develop the mainnet. What we are doing here, what I am doing here, is to create an environment where there is sustainability in the mainnet. Now, I would like to take you to a real world example. Oracle took on Java. Java was first developed by Sun Microsystems. They could not sustain themselves, so Sun Microsystems basically perished from this world. And what happened to Java? Java was taken over by Oracle. And Oracle is a for-profit organization. Without a for-profit organization, Java may not exist, or Java may not be what it is today. For good or for bad, it does not matter. But the fact of the matter is that Java exists today, being sustained by a for-profit organization. And this is the crux of my message to you, that at the end of the day, whether you like the mainnet to exist on its own or not, it is not an option. The option, as I see it, is that the Proxima X as a mainnet has to be sustained and sustainable. And in order to do that, you need to have a private entity to be able to sustain it. And now the question arises, what has it got to do with the XPX? How will XPX holders benefit from it? Now, if the mainnet is sustained and managed and maintained by the private entity, then you see the future in the growth of the mainnet by way of application and services being provided by the mainnet. And that's basically the answer to it. In the absence of developers coming on board, then what will happen to the mainnet? No users, no utility. So in its absence, Proxima X entity, being the private entity, will be able to sustain it and develop more applications so that you can create traffic into the system, and therefore it will benefit XPX. And at the end of the day, it will benefit XPX, no matter how you look at it. So I hope this question is being answered, and now that my clarification will provide you with more insight into how we at Proxima X think, and how we think that we should sustain this whole ecosystem the way it should be. The next question is, how is IPO going to add value to XPX tokens? As this is where it becomes interesting, right? Because we needed a private entity to sustain Proxima X mainnet, which is a public entity. And in order for the private entity itself to go forth, we need to be able to raise money so that the private entity has the money and the means to grow big in the mainstream to be able to sustain and develop the mainnet. So this is how the IPO is going to add value to XPX, because we are now going to sustain the Proxima X project, and therefore the Proxima X project will perpetuate. And when it perpetuates, then the longer it survives, the more traction it will get, and therefore there will be more applications put on the mainnet, and therefore it is a whole circle or cycle in itself, in the sense that now you are able to promote more applications and services, and therefore the utility of XPX as a coin, and therefore the demand for XPX as a coin. Now, the very sensitive question, very common among the Chinese members of the community, which is when pump, right? When is it going up? How come it's not going up? Why is it not going up? What are you doing to make it go up? I think this is a very pertinent question to a lot of people. As I said earlier, what is most important to understand is that the XPX is a utility coin. It's not an investment coin. We do not promote it to be an investment coin. So don't get me wrong. I have as much interest as many of you out there on the value of the XPX coin. But my interest is primarily, number one, is to create utility more so than the rise of the coin. Because we always have to look at organic growth. Basically, my philosophy of doing business is not to get rich quick. It's more like growing a business so that it has strong fundamentals, and therefore it will become a utility token of demand, more so than a utility token of speculation. So that is where I differ with a lot of people who are in here to make a quick buck. But I do not condemn that. It is human nature for all of us to see that whatever project that we support is always successful. And therefore, I thank you all very much in supporting us in any case. Just that I guess you are frustrated, but like I said, this is not an investment coin. This is a utility coin, and its value depends on its demand. Next question is, do you see XPX in top 20 CMC in 2020? I would like to believe that as a project, we are a top 20 project. But as a top 20 CMC coin begs a different question, because there are a lot of top 20 coins that do not have any utility other than storage of value. And we already have one very good storage of value, which is Bitcoin. So, but then you have other coins that do not do any more than storage of value and have value that is much greater than XPX. So again, it is all market play. I cannot dictate, we at Proxima cannot dictate the value of the coin as if we would like it to be in the top 20. What we can say is that we would like to believe ourselves to be a top 20 project, more so than a top 20 valued coin. So it's hard for me to say that I'm top 20 in 2020, but we would like to be. The other question is, when will value of XPX return? So sometimes you do see me answering this question in a lot of sarcasm. The thing is this. The thing is, we need to understand this. I'm not God. So if I'm not God, how can I tell you the value of the coin going up or down? If I can tell you the value of the coin going up and down, I am God. So I'm very sorry, I must apologize. Please do not ask me this question, because this is not a question that I can answer. The next thing is, when to list on Binance, Huobi, OKEX, Tier 1 exchanges. One of the greatest things that I have always been talking about, it is too expensive to list in an exchange. And I can tell you this much, this is the truth of the matter. It is easier for me to go IPO listing in a traditional stock exchange than to list and to pay the money in a Tier 1 exchange. So this question itself makes me think, why is it so great that I have to go to a Tier 1 exchange when I can list for a less expensive traditional method by going to an IPO in a recognized exchange? Isn't it an oxymoron? The other thing that I've always been saying is this: it does not matter if it's in Binance. If there's no liquidity, there's no liquidity. Take the case of MXC that we have listed, right? It is one of those up and coming exchanges. But look at what the volume is today, right? And then the question arises, why aren't I doing anything about the liquidity of the coin? My answer to that is that I'm here to build Proxima X as a project. I'm not here to build Proxima X XPX as a coin and to manage its liquidity. If I do that, again, then Proxima X should not exist as a project. It should exist as a coin where we can push it up or down based on the amount of money that we have to provide the liquidity and therefore fix the market. We're not here to do that. We're here to provide XPX as a project and XPX as a utility coin more so than a speculative coin for the benefit of everyone in respect of making hundreds of percent to the initial investment. And it should not be an investment. It should be the purchase of the coins, subscription of the coins for the utility of the services that will be put into play later on this year or next year. It's hard. It's a very hard thing. I know what you guys are thinking then, why am I investing, right? So, but the fact of the matter is that every project needs to have its own niche, needs to find its place. Some are speculative coins, some are value coins that are established. Here we are trying to establish a project so that at the end of the day, putting the project at the forefront, more so than putting the value at the forefront, will, in my opinion, ensure the survivability of the project as a whole. Doesn't matter how you look at it. If we are here 10 years from now or 15 years from now with an enlarged adoption, I'm pretty sure that the value of the XPX will go up with regards to the demand of it. The next question is I'm nearing half an hour and I'm halfway through. I think I'm talking too fast, but the thing of the matter is that there are a few more questions here. What are the biggest lessons you learned after being named president? This is a very sensitive question, but I would like to answer it in a manner so that you can understand my thought processes. I think the biggest lessons I've learned about about NEM, being at NEM, is about human nature, and human nature in the context of a virtual world. Most of the people I know in NEM, I only interact with them on Telegram, on Bitcoin Talk, on Trello in the initial days, but I don't know them. There are only a few. And from there, it is very hard to judge the capability of a person virtually. And that is where I've learned the most. And this is probably a 21st century phenomenon, because for the last 30 years that I've been working, most of the time is face-to-face, is with the people that I work with that will come and see me or work together as a team and produce results and do business together. And that's different. And it's very different in the blockchain environment or even in today's environment where most of us don't really see each other. We only talk. And the most surprising thing is this, that when a person expresses himself or herself virtually, it is absolutely different from meeting the person. Often I would be disappointed. And this is where I've learned. And I've learned that at the end of the day, the old school still needs to come in, and that there has to be centralization of decision making. If you don't do that, again, it is going to be disruptive and negative. It's not disruptive and positive, it's disruptive and negative, because it's not going to make the company or the organization that you're in better. And the other thing is, because it's decentralized in terms of management, we need consensus. And in this fast-moving industry that we are in, we cannot have consensus. It has to be done on the fly. And by on the fly, I mean to change a decision that we made yesterday, today. Otherwise, again, you can't possibly move the company and meander through the dangerous path or the precarious path that we are in today. So this is what I've learned as not just as NEM president, but as a project in the virtual space. I have a few more questions here, so I'll just read it out. So how do you leverage NEM network and your experience as former president of NEM Foundation to develop Proxima X? So how do I leverage NEM network? Basically, I think is a question that is being asked straight to my face to say, how am I going to parasite from NEM network, right? I do not believe in parasiting. And one of the reasons, in fact, this is a very good question because it now brings about more things that I need to talk about. One of the reasons why I went on to do an ICO is that I do not want to leverage on me as president of NEM, to leverage on the finances of NEM to power Proxima X, which is a business that should be separate from them. So it is always my belief to put things apart. And it's always my belief not to exploit the position that I was in. And being NEM president, I wasn't going to leverage on the resources the monetary resources of NEM to further promote myself. And that's the reason why ICO came about for Proxima X in preparation for my retirement at the end of 2018. The question again is this: in hindsight, for the benefit of hindsight, for all of us, if I actually went on to do an ICO in 2019, I think Proxima X would have been non-existent today. That's the fact. And my timing has been perfect. Never mind how it all happened. So how do I leverage on the NEM network and my experience as former president of NEM Foundation to develop Proxima X? The question is this, or rather the answer is this, is that I do not leverage on NEM's network. I leverage on what we have today at Proxima X to be able to develop the products and services that we have for the betterment of the NEM ecosystem. And that's what it is. The next question, could you share your work and partnership with MOCD in UAE? Do you have plan to work more with public sector? One of the challenges that someone has posed to me is that blockchain is a very much regulated industry. It caters for the regulated industries, for example, the governments of the world, the financial industries of the world, and therefore it is very difficult to work in such environments. Granted that it is very difficult to work in such environments, but I think what is more important here is that public sector is a much easier industry to work with regards to regulation, because not everything is regulated in the public sector. Decision making is protracted in the public sector, and this is where decision making can be difficult, and therefore the sales cycle in public sector projects could be a long sales cycle. And that's the reason why you can see in a lot of projects in the past that the public sector has been slow in taking up on projects. Now, with regards to MOCD in UAE, we are nearing completion of our rollout, so we have not been talking much about it with regards to its proof of concept, but we have actually moved on to develop the rollout. So, and the thing is, we have not talked about it for a simple reason. We want the UAE government to announce it officially, or to approve its announcement officially, rather than us announcing it. So yes, we are progressing well with them, and we are at the tail end of the project. The other one is many issue lately with NEM, management of treasury. If you're still president, how would you solve this issue? Did it somehow affect Proxima X? I do not wish to answer this question because it is past me, right? But what I want to tell you is this, and people must understand this as well. NEM as a foundation was set up at the end of 2016, and it has a charter, and the charter was very clear, and it says to promote NEM as a technology to the market at large. That was its charter, and it was set up as an organization whereby the foundation acts like an association. If anyone understands how an association works, then they should understand how a foundation like NEM works. NEM Foundation works on the premise of it being a non-profit, not-for-profit foundation. And therefore, most of the time, people would come in as volunteers. But as volunteers, do you expect anyone to come into NEM? No. That's the question. That's the plain truth about it. Nobody will want to work for NEM Foundation as a volunteer. None, even today. But as an association, we all must realize that the association is sustained by member subscription and activities organized by the associations to get more funding for the perpetuation of the foundation or the association. But NEM is working in a different manner. And the bottom line is very simple. Nobody will work for free. Nobody cares about anything other than the value of their coin. That is the start, the truth about the matter. Now, let's go back to before NEM Foundation was founded. It had undergone two phases. The first phase was between January 2014 to March 2015. I came in June. of 2014, and I worked through to 2015. And then I worked through from 2015 to 2016 as part of the second generation of NEM promoters. And then from 2016 to 2018, April of 2018, as the foundation president. In all these three phases, I can safely say that I was the only one last left as the president then in 2018 to have known the history of NEM. And this is where the truth is. In 2015, more than 250 million ZAM was allocated, in 2014, more than 250 million ZAM was allocated for the marketing purpose. When we transitioned into the NEM Foundation, we had 160 million left. That 160 million left was meant to be for the benefit of the marketing group, as can be seen in the development contract. Everyone can see that. That $160 million was meant to be for the marketing group. And the marketing group was about 5-6 of us, including me. If I was selfish, I would have taken it all. It is not for anyone's benefit, but for the benefit of the promotion of NEM. The 160 million ZAM was brought forward to the NEM Foundation for the benefit of the NEM Foundation so that it can perpetuate for the next year or so, right, to promote NEM for the next year or so, 2017. When I finished my term and retired as president, there was 120 million. I only used 60 million ZAM, and I had 4 million USD. So I don't see what it means by management of treasury. If I was still a president, how would I solve this issue? I can only tell you this much. I was a very prudent president, and I was very prudent at NEM. And that's much I can tell you. There wouldn't have been any problem if I was the president until the day I retire. So that's my answer to it. That's the frank answer I have. I don't know what they want to do with it. To me, it is all about cutting costs. If I were the president today, I would rather leave it to the president today to answer that. I'm not here to tell the president of today what to do next, because I have a bigger project that I need to manage, which is Proxima X. So I wouldn't want to answer this question. But it's important that I clear this up so that at the end of the day, the real story behind this is that, you know, for all those claims and slander they have against me, it's all wrong. It's all wrong in spirit and in real life. So I don't wish to answer too much of this anymore, because like what Alex has said, it's been 1 year since I've left NEM, and let it be what it is and what it will be. We have a different agenda at Proxima X, and I would like to see Proxima X as being a very important project in this industry, not against anyone. In this industry of blockchain technology, we are all here to create history for the industry and not history for ourselves. The projects that we are supposed to run and do today is for the industry. It's not for my name, myself. It doesn't matter, because I'm here only for a short period. I don't live forever. So I think there are a few more questions here that I need to look at. Is that since Proxima X is a public blockchain, are you concerned about lack of participation from public in testing or interest from third-party developers being involved? Or Proxima X is happy with current situation in terms of development, testing, involvement from non-Proxima X team? As with any project, it is really hard. And in fact, this is also a lesson I learned from my previous project. It's very hard to get the community to come and work on this, because most of them are interested in the value of the XPX. So, and that is also the reason why we needed to go mainstream, because If you go down the street and ask any programmer, none of them, or the chances of them coming up to say, I know blockchain, I know this, I know that about blockchain, is almost zero. Almost every programmer out there does not understand or appreciate the blockchain technology. And as I said earlier, it's very nascent. The whole industry is very nascent. So therefore, for us to grow, is for us to look at the blue ocean, as I've always been talking about. Blue ocean means getting more people coming in to the industry, not through the same industry players or same crowd, but to get them from outside the crowd, which is the mainstream. And this is what we will be doing, and this is what we will continue to do. So to answer that question, I am of course concerned, but I'm not surprised. And I'm looking, I have always been doing, at outside the little hole or little pond that we're in, all of us in the blockchain industry, small pond that we're in, to look beyond that and look elsewhere to find more talents to come in. And that's what we are doing. So, yes, we are concerned. No, we are not worried. One more question. When will wallet be ready? And as far as the version 2, the mainnet wallet is concerned, the team has been working very hard to get it done. And it should be ready when the mainnet comes on. So right now the team is putting in together the wallets, both the desktop and the mobile wallet together, so that we could get it ready sometime in July, ready for the mainnet in the third quarter. So that much I can tell you about the wallet, and yes, it will be ready. The next question is why Proxima X are using NEM's catapult technology to operate in public blockchain. Don't you think being too much dependent on NEM technology could undermine Proxima X development? This is a very interesting question. Why I say it's interesting is this. We could be using Ethereum. We could be using Cosmos. We could be using EOS for that matter. But to be honest with you, I find that the NEM blockchain technology, number one, I'm familiar with it. Number two, it is a very simple technology and yet very sophisticated and full of features. So because it is full of features, sophisticated, and possibly is one of the best blockchain for its purpose, fit for purpose, I would call it, solution, then it will be easy for me to adopt it, right? And the thing is that NEM itself, NEM Catapult itself is an open source. It's not about dependency, it's about the ability for us to make use of a technology and to be able to customize and develop and add in more features into that technology to be able to provide ourselves here with a holistic solution. And the blockchain technology is only one component of our platform. Bear in mind that we are a development platform more so than a blockchain coin solution platform. We are a development platform that allows developers to put in, to develop solutions and applications so that they can be utilized or services can be provided by making use of the platform. Think of Java as a platform. So if you develop your solutions based on the Java or Microsoft.NET, it is a platform. It's a platform for you to develop applications. And this is what we are at the end of the day. So relying on the NEM technology does not mean that we are dependent on the NEM technology. It means that we are making use of the technology for the platform and to be part of the platform, part of the holistic offering of the platform. So this is what we are. We are not going to be too worried about it undermining because it's open source. Doesn't matter. Like Ethereum is not going to, if I'm going to use Ethereum, it's not going to undermine my project, right? It's open source. So there's no question of undermining here. And the best thing about it is that I'm still in very good relationship with Jaguar, who is the head developer, and he's been very helpful. and giving us suggestions, and we do, especially the tech boys, Alvin in particular. Let's communicate with him now and again with regards to the overall development of the NAM technology. It doesn't matter whose technology, is the NAM technology. So we don't have an issue. Are there any details about the nodes? That's the next question. I can tell you that the nodes are broken into different parts. You have the streaming layer nodes, you have the storage nodes, you have the blockchain nodes. So and then later on you have the super contract nodes. The super contracts are basically what we call the new version, at least in our definition, a new version of how smart contracts should run, and we call it super contracts, right? So these are all different nodes, and they all form part and parcel of the entire ecosystem. So in as far as the blockchain node is concerned, which is the first one that will roll out in the mainnet, it is basically the Catapult node that would have got some of its code tweaked a little bit for the benefit of the Proxima development platform. So this will be rolled out in the third quarter, as I said earlier in the AMA, and the details of which you can find mostly in Catapult anyways. So I hope I have answered that question, because I'm not sure whether there are any details. But the white paper will come on later on, and we will be able to detail more of what they are. So, but basically, it's just a system that comprises many different types of nodes. And again, to summarize, you have the blockchain node, you have the streaming nodes, you have the storage nodes, 3 of them, and the smart contracts, the super contract nodes, which are the machines that are used to execute those contracts. The next question is, will harvesting in the future also be available for XPXs? Yes, of course, it is. It is part and parcel of the ecosystem. So it is obvious that XPX will be part of the harvesting. The apps that are running on the XPX chain right now, like File.it and Notes, etc., do you focus more on companies with these apps or more on retail users? I guess the question is whether we are using File.it for enterprises or for end users. As I said much earlier, this is a development platform, and applications and services are meant to be developed on this platform so that they can be offered to the end users at large. So whether File.it is going to be morphed into becoming like something like a much more enhanced version of Google Drive or Dropbox or OneDrive from Microsoft, it all depends on how the developers are going to make use of this and to develop this into a full-blown solution that can offer those services to the end users, and where we could make use of the cloud or the storage services that we have. So we are going to open it up later on so that anyone can take it on and develop something great. And while this is being developed, we could still offer it to companies. So we could offer it to anyone, to answer the question. Vault on mainnet, when it will be released, will work immediately. I guess what it means is when is Vault going to be released and whether it can be used immediately. Vault can be used. Vault can be used immediately when we release the mainnet storage system, which is also in Q3, later on in Q3. So again, the Vault could be a solution where a champion can take it on and offer it as a service to the end user, and therefore to make use of the application as a service for the end user. I guess I have come to the end of the AMA, and it's nearing an hour. So thank you very much for listening. I wish to acknowledge all my viewers and people who asked those questions. They have been very reasonable questions, and although some of them have been a bit sensitive, But nevertheless, the journey continues. Thank you very much, and good evening.